I run into countless people who tell me that at one point they wanted to be a marine biologist and work with the ocean, but they decided to go towards a different avenue to make more money than what a marine biologist would make or what they were told a marine biologist would make. And that's fine. And then they say, I wonder how I can get back into marine biology or working to protect the ocean. And I just wanted to highlight today's guest, Michael Ah, who is a conservation photographer. And his second career, his retirement career, as he calls it, is one where he works with the ocean to help protect it. And he does this through his photography. And he tells us about it today on the podcast. So let's get started with the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lewin, and this is the podcast where you find out what's happening with the ocean, how you can speak up for the ocean, and what you can do to live for a better ocean by taking action. And action is what we're going to talk about today. Our guest today is Michael Ah, who is a recognized and award-winning photographer. I can't even say the word. He's a conservation photographer, and this is an area where we've seen a growth in marine science and conservation, where we're seeing more explorers get out there. National Geographic, BBC, a lot of the sort of the mainstream network has been picking up these artists and using their photography, using their videography for shows and for magazines, and to depict what's happening along ocean lines, along coastlines, and give people a perspective of the beauty of the ocean, but also the issues that they're facing and some of the not so nice photos that you want to see of the ocean. And Michael does it all. He shows, a number of different photos. He takes on expeditions where he brings scientists on, and he's here to talk about a more recent expedition that he went on where he brought 110 people of all different backgrounds, all over the world, different sort of skill sets, scientists, photographers, videographers, marketers, business people, to see what Antarctica is all about and how it's changed over the years, and to kind of bring their own skill set to produce an exhibit in the future, and that'll be coming up soon, where we can get links to you for that, so that people can actually see what this is all about. I mean, that's what it is. It's about visibility. It's about understanding what's happening to the ocean, different places around the ocean that will affect the ocean for the future. And Antarctica is one of those areas that are very important to our planet. So without further ado, here is Michael Ah talking about his career as a conservation photographer and also his expedition to Antarctica, where he brought 110 people to do a number of different things. Enjoy the interview, and I will talk to you after. Hi, Michael. Welcome to the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. Are you ready to talk about exploration and the ocean?
Hey, Andrew, I'm all ready to go. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. This has been such a treat. I saw your name pop up. I was asking people to sign up for telling their conservation journey. I've had a lot of people sign up, all from all parts of the world and just doing different things. And I think you're the first one who has come really in with such an experience and such a cool background with photography and dealing with a lot of big media companies and starting a lot of things on your own and building it, and as it seems to inspire generations of people to get to know the ocean from all different parts of the world, especially your latest trip to Antarctica. So we're going to get into all of that kind of stuff. But first, what I want to do is if you can just introduce yourself to the audience, just let us know who you are and what you do.
Well, I call myself a conservation photographer
Love it.
for the oceans. I'm an ocean advocate. I like to explore, especially going to places that I've not been before, or photograph animals or places, especially in the ocean, that I have not been before, and essentially sharing the beauty of our natural world underwater, to inspire people to take greater care and have better appreciation of our natural world. That's what I do, and hoping with my pictures to inspire people to go and visit these places. It's right in front of our doorsteps, and I think
Hmm.
it's going there and getting firsthand experience, and I think you have better connections with nature. That's what I do.
I love it. I love it. Now, where did your passion and fascination come, like with photography? How did that develop? Was that when you were younger, like when you were a kid?
No, 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 no. I had a commercial life, a commercial life of 15 years in mainstream marketing and advertising,
Okay.
and that is a very stressful environment at that time.
Hmm.
And the ocean is my getaway from people, from businesses, from So it was my weekend getaway. Then soon evolved into resigning from my commercial life and do this full time. And it gave me great satisfactions to be able to enjoy the planet as we should.
Yeah.
So I started doing this professionally or full time in 1993, 1994. So this is my
Wow.
30 years doing this now.
Congratulations. That's amazing. Now, how does one start? Like, how did you come up with like this is going to be my career? Like, it can't be an easy thing to break into, and to say, hey, I'm going to make a living out of this. How did you go about that?
Well, actually, I call this my retirement. I did very well in my previous life to be
Okay.
able to um, you know to live comfortably after
Right.
retiring from the commercial world. And so I started off going to a marine park and fell in love with it and do my first book or assignment in 1993. And I guess that time was the golden era. It was probably the last era of photography before the digital era to come in
Mm,
2000. So, and at the time, the underwater photographer was, it's not many of us then, and having going to it, being able to go to places that a lot of people have not been, especially with pictures, coming back to pictures no one have seen before, published before, gave us the edge over top site photographers. And very quickly, I'm able to promote my work in magazine and media all over the world because
mm,
it's something that was much sought after at that time. And it's an
right.
easy sell at the time. Not so much now, much harder now. But
Yeah.
I say at that time was the right time at the right place and the right era. And just fortunate and lucky that I got into it at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, I remember that time. I was a kid, like growing up in high school in the '90s. And being an environmentalist and wanting to be a marine biologist. I remember, opening up those, the books from photographers for the ocean and seeing all these pictures. And they were truly inspiring because we really weren't seeing that type of ocean life before, or that type of intimacy of being close to ocean life or being in proximity to ocean life. And it always, like, I was always wondering how people got there and how people were able to, how patient they needed to be to be around those animals and get the right shot and in the right light and so forth. And I remember reading about those photographers and the adventures that they had. And so, like, when you did you always have that love for the ocean when you were photography? Like, that was it. Like, you knew that your photography was going to be based in the ocean. Was that always what you wanted to do?
Well, as a child growing up in Singapore at the time, I grew up in Singapore, and then I did my education in the UK. I had very little time, to see the oceans because no doubt I'm near the oceans,
Right.
but being in school and also it's I appreciate every time I get to go to the aquarium, every time I go to the beach, I feel I'm going home. I love the water, and I enjoy seeing at that time being naive to see seagrass and anemone fish or reef fishes. I totally engrossed of it. Sort of a natural alliance to go to the sea whenever I can. I still have that now. I say, okay, I'm going to new places now, especially a big city, like say for example, I'm going to London or Lisbon or
Hmm.
somewhere. The most easiest way to go and fastest way to go to the ocean is to go to an aquarium to get to see what's in that country first. Then I go to the ocean. So I still have the affinity right now.
I love it. I love that aspect. Um, and so now you've built a career, like your photography career, on inspiring people through your photography and getting people to get intimate with the ocean and understand the ocean from a conservation standpoint. Um, what has been like some of the projects that you worked on that really helped, that really had an effect on people, maybe like some of your first ones where people started to say, wow, this is really interesting, I want to help the ocean a little bit more.
Well, in '93, I went to a marine park in Indonesia, in North Sulawesi. At the time, there was probably two or three operation that operate in this area,
Hmm.
and I say, hey, we should get more people here to see this place, and that come about spending 8 months in one locations and photograph it over and over and over again over eight months period. Start writing stories, and then for a couple of publications, and then evolve into making a coffee table book for the locations.
Cool.
And I'm not sure it's a good thing. In hindsight, uh, it may not be a good thing that I did, but it sure got very popular, and
Mm,
and the location got very popular. By 2 years later, there was 15 operation running there at the time. Just
mm,
2 years later, and then become I have direct flight from Singapore to Manado at that time, and then it got very very popular. But and then, of course, being popular means that there's more pressure on the environment
right.
on the park, and it went downhill from there. And unfortunately, the local, few local people, and we started to promote conservations and promote managements, and it got better after that. So that I would say the Bunakan Marine Park is being my 30th year now since doing the book for that place is
Hmm.
my first breakthrough in what I'm doing right now in getting a place popular, getting the place noticed, and getting people to experience and love the ocean and love the park and appreciate the diversity of corals, of fishes, and then come management and conservation of the same place. And it got better. You got better much, you got better, 30 years later, it's much better than 30 years ago because it's getting
Right.
popular, it's probably managed.
Yeah.
And then lives come back, and people get to know the amount of diversity of different species of corals and fish and turtles that now exist in the park.
Yeah, and I see where you're coming from. You're like, maybe it wasn't a good idea that you put out the book and got it so popular, but also in the end, now it's better managed, and you got that, moving forward, by bringing more people there and getting more people educated in their own way to view the beauty, the natural beauty of that area. And now it's coming back, and hopefully it'll continue to come back and the way it is. I like that story. I think it's a very interesting story. And to think about, like, your book of photographs, your photographs got conservation done in that area. I think that's a pretty phenomenal feat. Did that make you really think, like, over those years as that was going along, how did you change your approach when you started to take photographs of different areas and write these books and so forth to promote those areas? How did that change your mindset from that experience?
Well, in the '90s, there was hardly any guide or protocol on how you interact with animals, how you interact with a place you go to. So just through trial and error and through many mistakes we make, and learn from those mistakes. So now when we take our approach when we go to a new place now, we say, okay, these is things we cannot do, this is a thing we must not do, and we have to do this. How we can do this with minimum impact, or how we can make sure that we our pictures put up there that will inspire and get the wow factor, but at the same time, we want to make sure that people approach it and view it with open mind, and also understand that this environment are fragile, and you should take great care. Go and see it if you want to, and they should go and see it, but go carefully and
Hmm.
mindful of your impact that you when you do go.
Right.
Otherwise, just look
Yeah.
at the pictures or enjoy the film that we make.
Yeah. From far. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And enjoy those images.
I would always say that uh, you know, with marine parks or for aquarium, for example, in the context that what promote the ocean. Did you want 2 million people going to this marine park a year, or you just want 2 million people seeing this sample of this marine park in an aquarium? I think it's better
Hmm.
off to have 2 million people in the aquarium than having 2 million people in the marine park.
Absolutely. Yeah, completely agree. I mean, that's the benefit of having those aquariums, right? Those big public aquariums. And if they do it right and they do it properly, it's well done,
And
and you
also
get to
more
educate.
accessible and
Yeah,
affordable, because not everybody
yeah,
can afford or have the time to go to go to the ocean, because
yeah,
it's a luxury. It's
for
a
sure.
luxury. But I think everybody should if they can. But
Yeah,
otherwise, go to the aquarium.
yeah. No, I completely agree there. Now, you've gone on a lot of trips, and you talk about being to the ocean. You've pretty much traveled all over the world throughout your last 30 years of your photography career. Um, do you have one that's the most, like the one you love the most, that you continue going back? Like, what's one area that you love to take pictures just because it just makes you so peaceful, or makes me feel you feel so at ease?
Very good questions.
Hard one too, probably. You've been to a lot of places.
I think everywhere we are all connected. Everywhere any the whole ocean is connected, and everyone is significant as well. However, big or small or blue or green it may be. So I go to many places. Not once. I make sure I go to get to know a place. You just
Hmm.
you just been there, done that kind of attitude. I go there many times. For example, I go to Cuba. I go every year from 2013. I go every year to 2019.
Wow.
If I go to Galapagos, I go for 5 6 years in a row to get to know the place in depth and really know the place. So I guess at any one point of my life, when you ask me, where is most important, would be my favorite place to go. So I mean, at this point in time, I think I just finished a trip to the Antarctic, which is my 10 trips since
Wow.
2003, and the Antarctic is a window to our future.
Hmm.
What happened in the Antarctic will happen to basically reflects on what will happen in the next 10, 20 years to the rest
Yeah.
of the world. So I think at this moment in time, I think the Arctic and Antarctic is a place that we have to watch very carefully, and what's
Hmm.
happening there now dictate what will happen to where we live, wherever we are, and it's something that is close to heart right now, because the survival of penguins, of the polar bears, being significantly affected by climate change,
Hmm.
and how they affect their life in that remote area far away from us,
Hmm.
uh, is actually happening to us right now. We may not. Everybody is feeling the heat now, especially those in the northern hemisphere at the moment.
Yeah.
And you want to know how it feels like for the polar bear or for the penguin. You
Yeah.
are feeling it right now. That is very uncomfortable, and will become more so in the next 10 years. So watch the space, because yeah, it's something that you have to give a second thought. What's happening? Yeah.
Yeah. And now, speaking of Antarctica, you mentioned you just went there on an expedition. It was a very big expedition when considering, like, normally when photographers go to a place, you go there maybe with a small team or just by yourself to be able to do those photographs. But this last trip, you took other people, right? Like, this was an expedition where you led other people. Is that how it worked? Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
The objective of this last trip, you say, I took a lot of people. I took 110 people because it amplified my voice. If I have one voice, but if the current 10, I have 10, exponentially I can multiply to thousands of voices from there.
Right.
And the diversity of people that I pick, we go from scientists to engineers to artists to bankers, investors, from diverse from 12 to 88 years old,
Wow.
of diverse skills and mindset. And the idea is for them to bring back and witness what we see in Antarctica now in 2023. These are the remains of the Antarctic, as I call it, and hopefully share the experience and the visual and convince people that this is the state, the remain of the Antarctic now, and why they should preserve this, and hopefully for future generations, for their own future loved one to see and have hopefully a better habitable planet in the future. So that's why 110 people, I should 120 actually, and and come up with resolutions how we should protect this place, for the future.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. How did you choose the people to go?
Uh, m- Most of them, some of them, I already know them from past, association the last 30 years,
Gotcha.
and majority has to apply for it. It's an application process with 10, 20 questions, based on the passions for nature, the passion for the environment, and also the skill sets and the background. And it's all carefully picked to make up the 110 people we've got. Yeah.
Now, from my understanding, I've never been to the Antarctic, but most people when they visit the Antarctic, it's usually by boat, and they stay on that boat and they do daily visits. Is that how your expedition worked?
Yes, in many ways, to save time, we actually go when we sail down from Bushwire towards the peninsula, to give everybody an experience, the process of arriving into the Antarctic on a boat, and also to experience the Drake passage, and to see the last continent on visually from a ocean perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But to save time, we after 9-10 days, we flew back from King George Island to
Gotcha.
Chile. So that saves some time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because not and people have the kind of you go sailing back, a sail take about 2 to 3 days. So
Yeah, I
that
can
saves
imagine.
2 or 3 days
It's
off.
pretty
Yeah.
far.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, had any of the people that you took, had they been to the Antarctic before?
I would say about 30%. 30% of them have been there before. Some of
Okay.
them been there multiple times, and some of them been there once or twice before. But then the Antarctic changes. The last 20 years, we went through massive change. I've
Right.
been there. My first time there was 2003, and this is my 10 trips there in
Mm-hmm.
2023. Massive change comes the last 5 years or so. Between 2003 and 2010, very I saw very slight change every time I go. But the last few years, the last 5 years is the most significant change.
Now
And it's
you're
because
you.
of, as we can see, it all correspond with the weather.
Mhm.
In 2016, 2017, 2018, the change of climates on all part of the world also reflects in Antarctic as well. We have huge coral bleaching process in 2016, 2017, 2019, 2020. It's all happened in the last few years. And that is exactly, what's happening in Antarctica as well. So the last few years, significant
Really.
change that I've never seen before in such a short period of time.
And now you're saying when you say changes, you actually see it from a physical, like when you arrive, things have changed enough so that you notice it like
Oh yes,
big
for
time.
sure. You can see it. You see it. You not only feel it because of temperature. You
Right.
feel and you see it at the same time. Yes,
That's
and yeah.
unreal. And now you went on the Antarctica, like you went on the ice and you explored a little. You took your the people with you, explored. So what does one do when you get on the ice and you go see the like go visit the penguins? Is that like a guided
Uh,
tour? How's that
we have,
work?
we have got various group. We have got snorkelers and divers. Snorkelers, divers that dive, that did some diving and photograph
Oh wow.
underwater, and snorkelers that snorkels on the and take visual of water and environment close to the surface.
Yep.
And we have got two science team. One did samplers of microplastic in the water, and then a science team that go document the whales and what they're feeding on and tagging whales at the same time. And then the topside team, those who are go on land and observe the behavior and masses of penguins and animals on the ice itself. Yeah, so it's a multidiscipline approach we have during the entire expedition itself. So it gives us an overview of the environment, both on land and in the water.
When you do that, sorry, I lost my train of thought as I just can't believe you got all that science on. Sorry, how long were you there for?
The trip itself in the peninsula is actually 9-10 days. Yes.
Okay,
Well,
so quite a number of
before we
days.
go, we actually meet in Ushuaia, have a couple of days of meetings and preparation before we sail.
And then you stay down there for 9 or
Yeah,
10
so
days
it's
and to be able to get all
by
that work
comparison,
done.
it's a very short trip and to pack in. Uh, but having said that, instead of having five of people, you have 110 people. So there's more eyes, more observations, and in a very short period of time. That
Yeah.
otherwise, five people could not have done it in the same time period.
That's true. That's true. Now, that you when did this happen? This happened recently, right?
It happened in February. We were there from 13 to 23rd February.
Okay. And now have you had the chance, you and the team had the chance to sort of get some results of what you found when you were there, like from the experiments and the
Yeah, we work very
observations?
hard. We have a timeline, and the exhibition, the premier exhibition from the trip has just opened in Singapore last month. It's ongoing exhibitions from basically our observations and a sampling of our work is being open. You open up in Singapore last month, and you run for the next 6 months in Singapore, and then we are planning now to take the exhibition around the world starting from next year.
Oh wow. And do you know like where the first stop will be?
We started in Singapore now
Sorry,
in our
yeah.
months, yeah, and next we're going to Hong Kong and Shanghai, hopefully, and then we'll bring to
Nice.
Australia and hopefully across Europe, and then finally to the States. So we are planning for Chicago and also planning for San Francisco as well. Yes.
That's amazing. Now, like for people who attend this exhibit and see the exhibit, what do you hope that they get out of it?
Well, we hope that they will, when you first enter the exhibition, they will realize that, okay, this is the state of the Antarctic we observe in 2023, and this is what we can do to help preserve, or what we can do to help preserve, what remains, and also for themselves. You're not when you preserve the Antarctic, you're not preserving just the Antarctic. You're preserving our lifestyle as we know and
Mhm.
wherever we are. So as I've said, what happened in Antarctica happens to us wherever we are at the same time. So we hope to inspire them to take us to give thoughts and adopt certain things they can do. Everybody can do a bit to help, and I hope that inspire them to do that. At the same time, visually they will see in the short film that we have already finished, and also one of the zone will show them beautiful artwork that we have captured during the trip.
Awesome.
And they don't have to go to, and this exhibition is in Singapore, but it's also everybody can see this virtually.
Oh,
uh,
really?
you can actually walk into an exhibition from where you're sitting now, and walk through an entire exhibition, and look at every panel and every video that's being exhibited, and to the five zone of this exhibition. So it's already done in three-dimensional form. You can actually walk through it wherever you are, whenever you want to.
That is that's amazing. We'll put that link in the show notes
I'll
so that
send a
people
link to you for sure.
yeah,
Yes.
so people can get access to it because I think they'll provide more of that visual sort of depiction of what the exhibit has. I wish we could all fly to Singapore to go see it. That's for sure, because Singapore is a beautiful city. I think it's amazing what you do and what you hope people get out of this, and just that awareness to understand that this is what's happening in this faraway place that we think is so remote, and it's being affected by things that we are doing and our governments are doing and our countries are doing, and it comes down to us to be able to help, to be able to vote the right governments, and to be able to live for that ocean, and live to protect our planet, not just Antarctica but our entire planet. But like you said, it starts with a lot of these places that feel it first and feel it most. And to see that those changes, within a 5-year span, to see such drastic changes really puts it into perspective how quickly we need to change and how quickly we need to act. Now, with such a powerful expedition like this, uh, what's in the future in terms of your photography? And sort of, are you going to do another expedition?
Well, we'll continue telling the story for our planet. Uh, I've always said that uh, we have to the mountains, the ice, the polar bears, the penguins. They don't have a voice.
Hmm.
Uh, we have to amplify their voice by speaking up for them. So we can do that, uh, by visiting these places or seeing this animal, and have a better understanding of that environment, what's
Hmm.
happening there, and then speak up for them. So yes, I will continue doing that for whatever time I have, and of course we are planning another big expedition this time to the Arctic in 2025. Hopefully
Nice.
another 110 people, and this time we go with a mission that everybody come back with a story to tell. So in other words, you want to come on
Mm.
this trip in 2025, you have to commit to writing a story, or poem, or prose, or a music piece, or an art piece. You have to commit to doing that before you embark on this expedition with us. So I can come back with 110 stories this time.
I think that's amazing. That would be what a treat that would be, to be able to hear, sort of like you said, the different perspectives of the people who visit
Different
and their
language too. Of course.
interactions,
I want a
different
diverse of
language.
language too to reach out to different
Yeah.
people. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I mean the Arctic does span across the world, just in the North Pole, but it hits a lot of different countries and affects a lot of people,
exactly.
our planet. So it's very important that we do this. Michael, I just want to say this has been quite a treat to hear you. Talk about what the type of work that you do. I have to just kind of one final question is, you've done a lot sort of in your career to not only get some amazing photographs, but to really raise awareness for the ocean and for the planet. What has been that continued driver for you to be able to continue this work? 'Cause it's not easy work. Traveling to remote places is not an easy thing to do. To be able to put all this time and effort to do this, all the connections that you've been able to network from and be able to use. What's that continuing driver that you want to that continues to drive you to do this type of work?
Well, in a selfish manner, behind the ways, I enjoy what I'm doing.
Right.
I feel I'm happy doing what I'm doing. So that is a personal satisfaction bit that I enjoy. I love it, and I enjoy all this moment to die for whenever they're doing things. But experience that money can buy or cannot buy is better than buying a watch or a handbag or the car, because this experience that is nature. We are part of nature itself, and to do what I'm doing is when I leave behind my words, my pictures, I think I like to leave behind a legacy that I can share with when I'm not around to future generations, to people that I can share with right now. Whereas leaving behind a car doesn't mean anything.
Right.
So that is something that I aspire. I keep me going, because I know that what I do matters, and what I do it will continue sharing with not one people but many people that I can leave behind for people to enjoy, and also take good care of our planet.
Fantastic. I mean, that makes so much sense. It definitely explains why the what you've been doing over the past 30 years and what you're going to continue to do over the next number of years. And I want to thank you for all the work that you've done and for helping other people experience that too in this last expedition and the future expeditions that you're going to be doing. I think it's just wonderful. If people want to get a hold of you or follow your work, how can they do so? What's the best way to do so?
I'm easy to find. I'm very easy to find. Just type in Mike Cow on Google, so you'll find me easily.
Perfect. And I'll also put some links that you provided in the show notes so that people can get a hold of you and see your work. Michael, this has been such a treat. I want to thank you so much, not only for the work to do, but the time you spent with me here today to help everybody realize what you've done and be able to share that with the world and with this audience. So I appreciate that so much. And thank you very much.
Thank you, taking time to talking to me, and thank you for giving me these opportunities. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you. Thank you, Michael, for joining us on the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. Very nice to have you on. Very nice to hear your story about your second career, how you became a conservation photographer, and your expedition to Antarctica and your future expedition to the Arctic. Really interesting story. These are stories that I love to tell, these conservation journeys, these conservation stories, to kind of inspire you that anybody can really come up with these stories. Anybody can live these stories. It really depends on how dedicated you are to your passion. If conservation is your passion, if the ocean is your passion, you can live out your conservation story. You just need to find the means to do this. It just so happens that Michael made a good amount of money, it seems, in his first career, that he's able to go into retirement and do the work that he's been able to accomplish in his second career as a conservation photographer, and I think that's wonderful. I would love to hear your conservation story. If you go to the link in the show notes, you can find how you can book your interview with me to be on the podcast, just to put a little description of what you want to get out of the interview and what story you want to tell. It kind of directs me, and any kind of links to give me a background on what I can find out about you. And Michael just did that, and it was just fantastic. It was just great to be able to speak to him. This is somebody I may not have met otherwise, and it was just great to be able to hear his conservation story. All the links for Michael will be in the show notes as well, so please check that out. I want to thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lewin. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time, and happy conservation.